Shalom and welcome once again to another episode of Touring Israel with the Bible in hand. Eduardo Yosef, that's me speaking to you, and Lorena Yosef joining me on this new adventure. This time, we're getting involved in a place we haven't been to before. Very few people come to this place, and it's not really recommended to visit unless you are with a guided tour. But remember, we like to go to places where very few people go, and truly where the Bible tells us about them. And how does the Bible tell us about them? We are on a kind of hill right now, which is the border of what used to be the tribes of Benjamin and Judah. In this very place called Gai Ben Hinnom, a valley that runs below us, where we are right now. It was the place where the tribes were divided. On the other side, that is, right behind us, where you can see those little houses. The entire tribe of Judah was going to settle there. The Jewish people specifically were going to settle on that side, where we are now in this area, the tribe of Benjamin. Paul, a Benjamite, tells us. The Apostle Paul, Jesus, from the lineage of Judah, David, Bethlehem, is located there. Ephrathah, from the tribe of Judah, land of Judah, mountains, the entire region of Judea. We are going to learn a lot in this video that we are going to get involved with today. We are going to be talking here specifically about the place that for our ancestors was considered hell. So in this video, you will go along with us to what is known as Gehenna, hell. Stay and join us, let's go. Well, we just got out of the vehicle, and we're really looking forward to what we're going to find today. Everything we can share with you today. I think it's gonna be revealing, I hope, but it's also gonna be exciting. We are literally walking among graves. There are very old graves all around us. Yes, of course, not all of them are old, but we just came from there, behind us and further back. There were caves, many caves, many caves. This whole area is full of caves that had graves from 2,000 years ago, and the graves that were used here, they were for foreigners and poor people, but also surprisingly for rich people, even people of power, people of influence. The Valley of Hasildama, Yalkei Dama. In the Hebrew language, Gai Ben Hinnom is the original Hebrew name, which is how it is known according to the book of Joshua.
Exactly.
That name appears for the first time in the scriptures, Gai Ben Hinnom, in the book of Joshua. We were just on the side of the territory of Benjamin when we started the video, which is exactly on the other side. Here where we are now is Judah, the territory of Judah. How
is it that in just a few meters you're talking to us about two completely different tribes?
Do we cross over? Yes, completely. We have a valley in the middle, which is the valley right below us. That valley that's there, below us, it's known as the field of blood, the potter's field. You'll see it in the New Testament, but it's also known as hell. Gehenna. We're going to enter hell. We're going to enter hell in this video today. So here we go. We're going to tell you all about it, but first of all, let's go in chronological order. We said that in the book of Joshua, the name of this place called Gehenna appears for the first time, and it appears as the one that separates the border between Benjamin and Judah. If we talk about back then, we know that the one who was leading the people, after Moses stopped leading, the command or leadership was given to Joshua. Joshua is the one who carries out the mission or the challenge of entering the promised land. When he enters the promised land, he first goes to a place called Gilgal. He crosses the area of what used to be Moab, crosses the Jordan River, and arrives at Gilgal. Once in Gilgal, he works with the boys and circumcises them. Then they go to Mount Gerizim. Okay, yes.
Is all that
Old Testament, or
outside?
they are already inside the territory of the promised land. They have already entered. Exactly. When they arrive at Mount Gerizim, he gathers the tribes. He begins to teach them again the laws that they had received on Mount Sinai with Moses. And when he begins to teach them the laws, he gives them the blessings. He divides the lands. That's where the 12 tribes come from to go and live in the promised land.
The Bible says everyone must have them.
Exactly. So when they start living here in this place where we are, the tribe of Judah. Across the valley, we pointed out those beautiful little trees and said, that's the tribe of Benjamin. Now then, remember that a king named David came, and David, what does he do? He unifies the tribes of Israel? Exactly. So he creates the unique name of a nation called Israel. Okay? Is that okay there?
Yes, before you get really deep into what David did, why don't you tell us? What was it that Joshua, or God through Joshua, warned them about? Because it's very easy nowadays to say, this is your part of the land to the tribes, isn't it? You have to go in here, this is your boundary, you have to possess it. But there were people, some very ancient peoples who were living there, and they had given them a warning.
Yes, of course, I had to eat.
Tell them, the peoples and tribes, they were already prepared with something they had to do and something they didn't have to do.
Let's agree that they weren't the only human beings living on the face of the earth. At that time, the Lord even tells him in the Old Testament, in what is known as the Torah or the Pentateuch in Spanish, Leviticus. The Lord speaks to Moses and tells him on more than one occasion that he is going to enter. The people are going to enter a territory, and that territory where they are going to enter, specifically, is a place where people live, and those people worship God, but it's not the true one. And so, on more than one occasion, he warns them, he calls their attention, he says, be careful that when you go there, there's a very normal kind of extradition of a Baal right, yes, of a god, an ancient king whom people worship. And then they happen. He talks about fire and says he makes innocents go through it. Don't do that, it's not my practice. I believe that's done for one reason. Number one, because God manifested himself in fire in the past.
So what does it mean?
Did God appear as a pillar of fire? Did God appear as a burning bush? And
Then why did he warn them about this?
why? Was there someone? We're gonna talk a little more about this person. They turned him into a kind of deity, and according to tradition, people had to be sacrificed to him by fire.
So do you want to?
Did they set them on fire?
So that they don't get confused?
This prevents them from confusing one fire with another. He said, I don't ask people to go into the fire, burn, kill, or sacrifice in my name. So they'll go where that custom exists. Understand that I'm not the God of Israel who burns and demands sacrifices.
Let's also remember that the laws had been given just recently. Yes, of course,
He was beginning to form the people. He had to re-educate them. They were already coming also.
From Egypt, with the customs that existed in
Egypt, deity of all those Egyptians who...
They also had to take care of themselves, so now they would have to as well, like children, right? When they are born, when they are little, we teach them. So it's very good. It was so that they could differentiate the type of fire.
Exactly. So the Lord warns them about this. When he is warning them about this, he is telling them they are going to that territory where all of this happens. We said David unifies, okay, the tribes of Israel, and where he specifically places the temple. Look here, behind us. Look, see if you can appreciate it. You can see a column there. Do you see it, Lore? Yes. No, not a column, a wall, a wall. Exactly, a wall. That wall is the one that surrounds the old city of Jerusalem today. Okay, wow, look there, exactly, right where we're looking now. All of that is I'm going to point it out with this. All that you see there, all of that is the Mount of Olives. There, the Mount of Olives. All this city you see here is the city of Siloam.
Siloam.
Siloam. Look at how many eyes there are over there, right? There are a lot, aren't there? They're all watching us from there. And that village, well, we just saw that there's a Jewish cemetery there, right? Jewish people live there. You can see Israeli flags. Walk through some passageways to reach the city of David.
On the other side, that's true.
Below is the pool of Siloam.
We can't see the pool now, I don't know.
You can see the pool of Siloam. Below, right here beneath us, is the pool of Siloam.
Well, you can also see this in the, we're going to show you a map, okay?
Yes. We're going to show you a map there. King David, ultimately, he was living here. His entire kingdom was established here. And up above, Solomon had built the temple. After David, we said that David unified all the tribes and established God's house here, right? Where did he establish God's house? In the place that God had determined, where his name would be forever. Let's remember that what David does is move the holy place, or the place where he is going to determine, from Hebron to Jerusalem. The main idea was to build a house in Hebron, but it couldn't be built there. Why? Because it was considered a holy site due to the tombs of Abraham and Sarah. So,
in Hebron, where was the Ark of the Covenant?
Wasn't it there? So where? Where was it at that time? So the ark was, how do you say, nomadic? Remember the camp? Like Moses, the ark moved around there. It was initially planned to build the house of God in Hebron, but they chose not to because Hebron was already a holy place. They had to move it. So did they choose Jerusalem? That's when Jerusalem becomes important for King David. When they decide to move it here. We know that history tells us that the ark was taken by the Philistines. They stole it, took it to Beit Shemesh, and from there they took it to another place called Kiriath Jearim, to the house of Obed Edom. It finally ended, it ends here, and finally ends there, in the city of Jerusalem. Solomon, David dies. Solomon takes his place, and King Solomon continues. With all of it. The
construction of the temple, everything that David prepared.
And with the reign that...
It's already unified. I mean, he left everything ready, the United Kingdom, all the elements to build the temple.
And now, to make a long story short for you and for those who are there with us, Solomon dies, splitting the kingdom. Jeroboam heads north while Rehoboam remains in the south. Israel ultimately is split in two. One part becomes Israel and the other part becomes Judah. So
who are there? Rehoboam, Jeroboam, who are so
similar. Rehoboam and Judah.
And Rehoboam,
son of King Solomon, stays in Judah. Jeroboam goes to the northern region of Israel. Who was Jeroboam? He was someone who had a lot of fame and had won over many people. And then he goes to the north, and in the north, while he's there, he starts to create things. As they come up in his heart, it says, what did you want to ask me?
No, I meant how many tribes were with him and how many with the other.
Rehoboam? He took Israel, he took 10. 10 exactly. Jeroboam took 10, and 2 stayed down here with Judah, and Benjamin. That is, these 2 tribes stayed here in the city of Jerusalem. Later on, the story tells us that someone named Sennacherib came, who was a conqueror. He conquered and made the 10 tribes of Israel disappear. Jerusalem was under siege. Jerusalem. The one who was reigning at that time was a king named Hezekiah.
Ezekiel?
Ezekiel is the prophet, Hezekiah is the king. Hezekiah was a king who was there, and then Sennacherib came and threatened him. Finally, he takes words from Isaiah that he will remain, that he will not be destroyed during his time. But they end up telling him that his children will fall.
Suffer, right? Suffer the consequences. And
So what does he say? He was going,
to come, it's fine. Nothing will happen while I'm here.
"What good news," he says. "What good news you've given me, because at least it won't happen to me. But well, my children are going to suffer. What good news." Anyway, the one who takes his place is Manasseh. Listen.
So,
Manasseh was 12 years old. Let's keep walking a little more. Let's see what we find around here. As we were coming down, we just came across this place. And as you could see in the images, you saw that we entered this big building. And we didn't know if it was a water cistern site or what it was. But finally, we found that there are tombs after tombs, after tombs, after tombs, after tombs, niche after niche, after niche after niche. This was El Gehenna. This was the burial site. This was the place of death. This was the place of garbage. This was the place where nobody wanted to be. In fact, to this day, where nobody is, it is known. There's a term used to say necropolis and acropolis, yes.
exactly. The Acropolis is the complete opposite of the
Toalaneo.
The complete opposite, because the Acropolis is the city that is above. Exactly. The one that is alive, so to speak.
Acropolis, city of the heights, polis, to speak.
Exactly.
And the
Necropolis is the complete opposite.
necropolis is
It's like a city of tombs.
the city of the dead, exactly. In Hebrew, it's called City of the Dead and City of the Living. The living lived on the upper part and the dead lived below. There's a place called Beit Sherem, which we'll visit in another video. And in that place, there were also tombs from the time of the Second Temple, and in fact, one of the rabbis who signed the Mishnah was buried there. And the tomb of that one. It was incredible what that man did, but they were tombs of foreigners who didn't live in Israel, Jews who didn't live in Israel. And how do they know that? Because they found different names here where we are, names in other languages. Here where we are, these were the tombs of the people from here. Why? Because they found the names in Hebrew? A desolate place, a place where nobody wants to go. Soon the lights go out here and we're left in total darkness. And how are we supposed to get to the car? I hope we make it safely. There are also some risks here, like we could step wrong and fall down. Yes, there's a possibility of a collapse, because all of this is just a pit. Notice, since these are caves, since these are tombs, it's one cave, another cave, another cave. They dug, and put a lot in there. In one of these tombs that you can see here, behind it there are 3 niches, a big family.
It's a chain of tombs inside. You enter through a single door, but inside you don't know what you might find. A kind of
tunnels of the dead. The otters here are happy. They go in one side, come out the other. They have thousands of doors. It's a labyrinth of the dead.
So tell us, Edu,
We were in Manasseh.
while we were coming,
From up there.
I know he became king at a very young age. And tell us a little bit,
Yes, we said that he was 12 years old. The Bible tells us that he was 12 years old. When he begins to reign, his father dies, and he is left on the throne as a very young boy. At 12 years old, he receives the kingdom and reigns. What's interesting is that he reigns for a long time, 55 years. He reigns in the territory of Jerusalem and was the king of Judah. Of all the territory of Judea, Judah and Benjamin were united in belief while Israel had already fallen. The bad thing about him is that what is done is to talk about the bad things. At the end of the book of Kings, before what happens in the reign of Manasseh, we are told that this is the story of King Hezekiah and everything he did. That he built walls around the city, that he diverted the stream to keep the water inside the city when it was about to be conquered. Many of his good deeds aren't in this book because I haven't found them. Many things could not be documented. It's not that I haven't found them, they just couldn't be written down. He did so many things that it was impossible to document them all. Now Manasseh, on the contrary, did absolutely everything wrong in the eyes of God.
So how is it possible that he, being the son of an important person raised within
The palace inside the kingdom.
and also having the Torah on his side?
He was small, how could he?
Be that he has
Done something bad? Me, small? We can have many conspiracy theories, but what we can see in the Bible is that number one, he was small. He was only 12 years old. And obviously, he had to surround himself with the wise men who were with the Pope before. Those wise men who were with the Pope before. Possibly, the advisors were the ones who led him down the wrong path. They became very interested, thinking, you're a minor king, can we dominate you? They kept giving him advice. He eventually did something much like what happened with Solomon. What does that mean, Solomon? He was the wise king who brought great wealth and peace. They were returning from a war and conflict after 10 tribes had lost. They said, since we're small and only have 2 tribes, we don't want this to happen to us. So what happened to the tribes of Israel who lost everything and mixed with the Assyrians doesn't happen to us. So let's make alliances. Those alliances led them to start bringing statues of foreign gods, of strange gods. The same thing that happened with Shlomo. Shlomo had a reign without wars. Why? Because he made alliances with foreign kingdoms. They started saying, you could put your statue here and pray to your God.
Of course. So the old practices also came back just like in the old times. Joshua had also mentioned they have to.
Don't get used to getting into that. Be careful, I'm warning you, because I'm not. So they used a similar method. God manifested himself in fire. Elijah had the manifestation that God reveals himself in fire. Moses, the pillar of fire, the burning bush. So it was possibly easy to mislead the people by saying, hey, through fire, God manifests himself. So we need to do some cleaning. And the cleaning starts at home. The Bible tells us that Manasseh had children, and his children were thrown into the fire. How can that be? In the book of Kings, wow, which means, and here we go, there was a figure in ancient times whom God had warned about, this so-called Moloch. You know him in the Bible as Moloch in Spanish, Moloch in Hebrew. But he was the representation, the physical figure of the leader of hell, so to speak. He was fire. He was a figure with the face of an animal. They would have him sit on a throne, and he had his little hands open like this, right? Like this?
Statue? That?
It was a statue, so they had put that statue where we are now. Lord, in this place, wow, in this place was that, his statue was here. King Moloch, or the god Moloch, or Baal Moloch. There are different ways to refer to Moloch. In the Bible, this figure is mentioned many times. It's in Leviticus, in Numbers, and in Deuteronomy. God repeatedly warns, be careful. This is not one of those you should approach. But unfortunately, in the kingdom of Judah, this figure appears. They build him a temple, they make him a throne, and in this very place, the Gavin, the Ben-Anon becomes the Gehenna. So,
Can you describe the specific practice? Why this one?
God?
Why is fire associated with this King Moloch? And earlier you mentioned people who pass through fire.
What was the practice? It was a very sad one. Just imagine you and me today, those who are listening to us and our parents today as parents today. Considering that practice gives it a whole new perspective. Because just imagine you have your child is born, and you hid all of that. You had them in your womb for 9 months, 8 months, it doesn't matter how long, right? And you have to give them to a deity. I mean, you have to take them to a god. For 2 reasons. One, out of gratitude for something he did, according to one's belief, right? For what he did, or for something he will do in the future. So,
Do you want?
put one. Am I sacrificing him? Am I really going to do that? Is this for something I already received, or will get in the future? So I'm bringing, not the first fruits, I'm bringing my son. It doesn't matter if he was the first, the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth. I'm bringing my son. And what happened? This place was crazy. Imagine that there was fire here. There was the statue, this one with fire underneath its hands like this. And there were priests. You had to give up your child. There were 2. There are several theories. One is that you, as the father, would place the baby in the hands of this statue and the baby would fall backward. It would fall into the fire.
Wow.
Or the other option was giving it to the priests. If you couldn't do it, the priest would handle it for you. Because it was too much emotionally.
Moment, could they back out of the commitment because it's a lot?
So there were priests. Now, since there was a lot, imagine little babies. What do babies do?
They cry, I imagine. The parents too, at that moment, I imagine they must be.
So, you're putting them in an already creepy statue? Because it has a face that's not human. It has a figure that's not pleasant. I imagine it was much bigger than a normal person. You're sitting and it's hot, and there are a lot of priests, a lot of crying, a lot of shouting. So what were they doing? Toph! Tack, 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 tack. Drums, drums. Wow.
Toph in Hebrew.
Toph, is it Tupim? They started going tack, 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 so that it wouldn't be heard. So the baby was crying.
Very wicked me.
I cry, then knock, knock. Cool.
Cool, cool. Knock, 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 knock. Boom, 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 boom.
No, imagine.
Not incredible.
You hear all that noise? Boom, boom, boom.
And a bunch of
Kids screaming. But it was to cover up. It was to cover up. It was to cover up the sound. So that happened here, in the place where we are now. Imagine, I don't know. It hits you like we're in the place where so many innocent people died. What madness possessed those people in the past? It was hell. Jeremiah the prophet. Later, contemporary era. Because of that, he begins to prophesy about what would happen to Jerusalem because of what it had done. Let's go to...
we can read it, just like you said, and it mentions the word you brought up. Tophet, we look it up in Jeremiah 19, the whole chapter, but specifically... in
Gaibeninnom el Gehennon el Tophet. Jeremiah predicts the evil that was being done and that Jerusalem was going to fall.
so the vessel that the prophet throws and that breaks is the symbol of
Judah disappearing.
Judah regarding the fall, right? Exactly.
Jerusalem starts to fall, and the destruction. Finally, what they didn't want is what we do, making pacts, inviting foreign gods, seeking peace, and avoiding conflict and war. Finally, for turning away from the true and only one, their fall comes, and it comes from a single kingdom. They only had to fight one king, not many. Which one? Who was even half? Named Nebuchadnezzar. He says that one is coming, sends all the Babylonians, and destroys Jerusalem. He not only destroys the city of Jerusalem, but also takes many Jewish citizens away. And that's what begins the exile of the Jewish people. They go to Babylon. The Bible tells us later how much they suffered in Babylon. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. There were good people among all those bad people, but well, those who were in leadership were the ones making the decisions. Unfortunately, Jerusalem falls. It gets restored, it gets rebuilt again, but finally this place was left completely abandoned. This place was not used again because it brought back a bad memory. Now yes, it is being used again, not for dwelling, not for living, but for garbage.
Or
That is, the symbol given to this place was the symbol of waste, the symbol of what is not used. Everything that was waste ended up in this place. And what was done? There is a gate. Of Jerusalem's 12 current old city gates, is number 8 still there today? Of the 12 mentioned in the Bible, one of them is called the Dung Gate. What? It refers to the gate in Hebrew, which is the gate of garbage. It's exactly the one that today leads to the Western Wall. Because this was the route that took you up to the hill. You were here and you could see the temple there. What?
does that gate's name mean trash?
They took all the trash out through there. The city was being populated right before us, so they brought all the trash here. And what did they do? Did they use fire again?
What for, of course?
Eliminate the waste, sin, and everything else.
Waste. Everything and related to fire as well. I wanted to read a little here so we can see another verse in Jeremiah 32:35. And they built high places to Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to make their children pass through fire to Moloch, which I never commanded or even considered, is an abomination that made Judah sin.
I warned them many times. In other words, I told Moses, I told Joshua, I told the 12 tribes, I told everyone. However, they went and did it. Wow. How many times does that happen to us, right? We're warned, we're warned, we're warned. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And we go and do it. And finally, what do we have? Desolate places can't be inhabited because what's here is the foundation of a curse. What's here is Gehenna. Jesus spoke about Gehenna on several occasions, referring to the place where sinners go. The place where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. The weeping. We're talking about the innocent, the death of the innocent. Obviously, he's making a reference. He's speaking in the language they understood. He's speaking to the Jewish people. This happened in the past. Do you remember that innocent people died? Do you remember there were cries of children? That was what they remembered as evil. That was hell for them. This was hell for the Jewish people.
Back then,
it was hell represented on earth. Exactly, Gehenna. So when Jesus is saying it, Gehenna is real. It exists. It's not the one that's abandoned today, but it still exists. Exactly. I mean, it goes much further, and every sinner will end up there.
of course, he used it as a reference. Remember what happened. Exactly. Where was it? What does it mean? But this is real. Hell.
It's real. Hell exists. You know it as Gehenna, that valley where Eduardo and Lorena are, God's standing. Now it's known as the Gehenna. But the Gehenna is not a place like that, abandoned. It's a real place. No.
Let's not think it's something...
That's what Jesus meant. All those people will end up there, with weeping and gnashing of teeth like before. What do you think? Should we go in for a bit?
I won't go in, but let's get closer.
Let's see. Let's go in there. Let's also go a little bit down there.
Let's go then.
Be careful, there are snakes.
I'll stay outside. What stage are you?
Let's go over there.
Let's go.
Where are we going? There are several here. Let's pick this one.
Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. That's bigger.
Alright, because all of this lore, what you see here, besides those being our backpacks, all of those are... Alright, nowadays it's known in the language as a niche, right? But look, if we go into one of them...
If you go in, you mean?
Here they deposited the bodies after the body had deteriorated. The body was put here, okay? Deteriorated, and it continues further inside. Their tunnels, and the ossuaries were placed with the little name tags stacked one next to the other. Let's see if we can go a little further with the camera. 2 dark spider webs. Look. Let's see if we can go a little further.
We can also show you one. Are we going to teach with these things? An image seen from above, like a map.
Look, they have like stairs. There are stairs, lore, that take you to other places.
It's like a spider web of tunnels. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, not the archaeologists. They didn't keep investigating this anymore, because who's going to come here?
Not just in case.
It made sense to come here.
But anyway, everything is so clear that there's no need to make any more discoveries, because they are sure about what time period it is, what happened, where is the location. So it's like there's nothing else left to discover here.
What did happen here, as we mentioned earlier, were those vandals who came to steal the belongings of the coffers they found, right? The sarcophagi. No, sarcophagi. I mixed up the word. Yes.
Ossuaries.
Ossuary.
That's exactly why the tombs are empty. Because all of this was...
It stinks in here, lore. It smells pretty bad. In fact, I don't know if I see a skull in there. There's something you can see. What you see there looks bad. Look, don't you want to go in, lore? No.
What for? I'm fine here.
It's incredible. Look at everything here. And there's one and another, and another, and another, and another, and one after another. Excuse me, please.
What I am is, let's go.
Right here next to you. Oh, I just realized. I just saw that there are some stairs that are taking us over there. What were you saying to me, Lori?
It's like this on one side. The good thing is that this place is deserted nowadays. Amazing. It'd be nice if they improved it a little, right?
When you say deserted, can you see all this ahead? No.
This place is where we are from.
The tombs, the place. Because look, see the contrast, all of that is completely populated, completely. There are all the little windows, one next to the other, one next to the other. Now where we are, look at what it is.
Yes.
There's nothing tumbas. Tumbas. So what were you going to finish? The idea? Sorry, about how deserted this uninhabited place.
Not everything. Abandoned. And it's good that nowadays, despite all the history, right? All the ugly things that happened with this place, it's like it remained. All of this is behind us. So all of this, I invite you to come.
I invite you to come. I invite you to... Come. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll protect you. Come on, really. I don't think any of the people here will get up.
There's no one here, huh? What are you saying?
I don't know, lore. I thought I saw something there. All right, I know. As you can see, it's sadly abandoned. Couldn't it be maintained a bit? Well, it's more of the same. In other words, yes, graves, and more graves, and more graves, and more graves.
So as I was telling you, what remains of this whole story, right? Is it something? These holes, these excavations, these tombs that are carved into the stone and so on. On one hand, I'm glad that this stage is over. So tell me if we can say that this stage of this god Moloch is over because it was so many years of dragging on, even though God warned us and everything. So tell us if we can think that this stage, this very dark stage, is over. Look.
Let's turn the camera around and I'll give you an answer to that question. In response to the question you just asked me, if this time is over, look. I started to research about what happened with this King Moloch thing. How far did different peoples take it? What happened? Did they believe or not? Remember what it was, huh? All of the Middle East apparently, or at least the vast majority, worshipped this Moloch because they were different. How do you say it? Different? Sites that were raised like altars, that were built, statues that were erected for it. There was a terrible massacre of innocent people back then. Huh? In different places. One of them was here, as we said, but here, as you say, did that period end, or did it not end? The period ended when they restored the city of Jerusalem again. That's what happens in Nehemiah. And then they start teaching the people again, who had strayed from the God of Israel, and they start teaching them again. But human beings always have like the call to awaken the spirits of the past. And what happened in the era of the Second Temple? When the Second Temple was here in the city of Jerusalem, the Romans came and destroyed it. Around the year 135, there was a revolt, and exactly in that same year, in another part of the world, in a nation called Tunisia, they were doing this practice. Wow, other people in another part of the world were practicing child sacrifice. How can you know? Archaeological discoveries from around the year 1800 approximately of our era, 1800 of our era, they led to discoveries at Carthage in Tunisia and at several other sites. There is a cemetery. What does that cemetery have? How do you say it? Like, as a characteristic? Graves, but only of children. Wow, and there's something that adds animals. It means they buried the children along with animals. What stood out the most? Did they find steles?
What does the stela mean?
The stele is the place, like what you put on a tombstone. How would you say a stela in Spanish?
One, it's like a
document, a stone that documents, okay? They found a stela, and that stela had the image of a priest. Cohen?
What does it mean?
Jewish? Of
Us.
From the people of Israel? It was typical because of the type of hat he wore, the type of service of the Kohanim that the priests used. With open hands, with a child holding him. So did that lead the researchers back? In fact, there was a pastor and archaeologist involved in this matter, which leads to the fact that it was a practice used among the Jewish people. With King Moloch, so it continued to be used. They kept awakening this spirit of King Moloch up until the era of the Second Temple. If it still exists today in different parts of the world, we don't know. But the truth is that always, human beings tend to awaken the spirit of their ancestors. In fact, there comes a time when, as we reach the end of days, the gods of the past come back to life. And then, the fight against all of them begins. Alright, that's as far as we go with today's video. We're not done with this physical space. Gehenna has a lot to teach us. At one point, we said, and does that take us to the New Testament?
Wow, so this story takes us across years and years and years in history, years and years in the Bible.
Wow, exactly. So, in our next episode of Touring Israel with the Bible in hand, we will continue learning and exploring from this place what it has to teach us. And more precisely, we are going to focus on 3 biblical characters from the New Testament: Ananias, Caiaphas, and Judas. What do these 3 have to do with the story of the New Testament, with Gehenna, with hell, in the next episode? So see you, Lore, with
Much anticipation, so learning more.
See you in the next episode of Touring Israel with the Bible in hand. Shalom to everyone and blessings.